There's nobody doing what we're doing, you know. This flies in the face of all the other targets. I'm not interested in what it will do 0 to 100 in. It's going to be quick.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not interested in the lap time. What I am interested in is delivering the best driving experience anybody's ever had. Full stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supercars of London down at Dunsfold. I'm at GMA Gordon Murray Automotive, where right there is a car that hands down is one of the greatest cars that will ever be on planet Earth. I'm not just saying that. Prior to today's filming, I've been sent numerous documents which I've been reading through, making notes, brushing up my knowledge on this car, because today's filming is incredibly special, because I'm going to be taken around that car with none other than Gordon Murray. Not only are we going to be talking about this car, we're going to be talking about the heart and soul of the car as well, that engine over there. And this is a truly special project. And I do believe that the brand culture that is associated with this car and the design specification, the checklist that needed to be taken through to get to the point where this car is in its physical being right now. And we're still about 18 months away from customer deliveries. So there will be moments where we get to see this car moving dynamically. We get to hear the engine. There is so much that I want to share with you, but I could regurgitate the documents that I've been sent and tell you everything about the car, but I do believe that Gordon Murray himself will be better suited for that job. It's incredibly hot in this unit, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supercars of London down at GMA, where I get to check out the T.50 for the first time and meet Gordon Murray and get him to share some incredible stories about this car. This is a special moment on my YouTube channel, because not only am I stood next to this incredibly stunning car, I've also got Gordon Murray joining me, who is going to talk me through his pride and joy, a project that, how long has this taken you to go from drawings to having a physical car?
18 months.
18 months. I mean, that's actually a lot shorter than I was expecting. But we are stood in front of the T.50, the T.50?
T.50.
T.50. And I have to say, with the central driving position and everything that I've read up about this car, it really is the ultimate driving experience supercar. And having had the opportunity of chatting with you 5-10 minutes off camera, you are the man to talk me through this car. We will move on to the engine, which is just out of shot over there, but there are so many fascinating details about this car. And I think the best thing to start with on this is talking about the team that have built it, and I suppose the checklist of things that you wanted to create and tick off when building this car.
Sure, well, I've worked with a fantastic team. I have to say it's probably the best team I've worked with on any project we have now at GMA. And a lot of young people, so right in the beginning I sat everybody down and actually, you know, the doctrine, lightweight, every bit's an engineering work of art, and a complete and utter focus on the driver. And you know, I've had a few people in the early days, not so much an Audi, but people say, well, it's only got 660 horsepower, you know, but the power to weight ratio is better than a LaFerrari, a 918 Porsche, a Mclaren P1 GTR.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody thinks this isn't going to be quick, so the team had that indoctrinated into them from day one. I have to say they've done a fantastic job. You know, there's not a bit on this car I'm not happy with. You know, right down to the controls and the feel, and also the overall size and look of the car as well. I'm really happy with.
I think that's something to pick up on, because obviously we haven't got the opportunity of putting it next to a normal day-to-day car. But this is incredibly compact and small. I was doing some research the night before to get ready for today, and it's about 30 to 40 centimetres shorter than the likes of Ferrari 458 actually. And we were both talking about, actually it's quite similar dimensions to a Porsche Boxster.
Yeah, it's virtually the same footprint as a Boxster.
Yeah.
It's a bit shorter and a little bit wider.
Which I have an amazing memory about 7 or 8 years ago, my first experience of getting into the passenger seat of sports cars. I had a fleet of cars. It was a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Mercedes AMG, and there was a Porsche Boxster in the end, and they were saying, you've got to go out in the Porsche Boxster, you will have so much fun. I was like, no, I just want to go in this Lamborghini over here. And then after I'd done all of those cars, I went in the Porsche Boxster at the end and had more fun in that in comparison to all of the other cars, which I think says something.
You know, particularly in the UK where the roads are relatively narrow, if you've got a car that takes up the full lane, you can't even take a line through a corner. You know? If the car's the right size, you can have some fun.
And having a central driving position as well.
Yeah, I mean it was again never going to be anything else. You know?
Yeah.
The F1 30 years ago really moved the game forward with sports cars, and I wanted this to be and I wanted this to be an equally big step forward in the driving experience, but also the materials and the weight and the engine. Everything had to be better, and it is.
Yeah. Gordon, here is the heart of the car. And I think it's probably over to you now to talk me through the development stages, how you got to the size and the bore of this V12, because as my audience know, and as I've told you, I am a massive V12 fan. And to create that car and give the driver the ultimate supercar experience, you said it had to be a V12.
Yeah, it was never going to be anything else. It was going to be normally aspirated, and it was going to be a V12. I mean, when I was growing up, it was in the 60s, and the Mura appeared in 66, I think it was.
Yes.
And for me, that was the first proper supercar. You know, transverse V12, really sexy shape, lovely noise.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning for me. And we sort of feel like we're bookending the supercar story as we head towards hybrids and electric motors and stuff.
Absolutely.
So I see the Mura as the start, and this is the bookend. You know, one final fling.
But
the engine. I mean, I looked at 3 different companies to do the engine, but honestly, Cosworth head and shoulders. And I wanted the car to be British.
Yeah.
So all the major manufacturers extracted the box. Cosy did the engine, and the targets I gave them were quite outrageous. And not just the obvious ones like power and torque, but the weight, the size, and the height of the centre of gravity, stuff like that. And most importantly, the engine pickup speed, because one of the great things that owners love in the F1 at the time, and I think it probably still is, the fastest response time, because it was the first carbon clutch, had no flywheel, and the bits were all very light and balanced. Anything that went round, up and down was very lightweight. And that was from memory, around 10,000 revs a second, whereas a turbo is probably half that. And Cosworth came back to me February last year and said, I think we've hit your target. How does 28,400 revs a second sound?
Oh my God.
And even as an engineer, you know, I can't believe that. That's idle to max revs in 0.3 of a second.
Oh my God.
So it's going to be, I mean, you can honestly stand here and say categorically this is the best road car engine, not just V12, the best road car engine ever built and designed. And now that I know what it costs to do one of these from scratch, it could be the last one.
But I think with the way that everything's going, we're obviously seeing a lot of hybrid, electricity and turbochargers. There's something special, and this is going to live in human history as the last great.
I think so,
And with all of the stats that are associated to it, revs to 12,100 RPM, is that correct?
That's the soft stop. The hard stop's 12.4.
Okay, well, hopefully owners won't go to 12.4. But naturally, I have experience with a V12, a more lumpier, heavier V12, and it does take quite a while to get going, and it's only really at 7.5 and above that the sweet spot really is. So to have something like this in 2020, and every single component is brand new to this engine, it's not featuring anywhere else.
It owes nothing to anything else at all. The one concession I made to weight on this is that these days everybody uses carbon fibre cab covers. And they would have saved more than half a kilo.
Okay.
But two things. One, I just don't like the look of them. I love a magnesium machine cam cover. And so for half a kilo, it was worth giving that up. And also the carbon goes a bit sort of yellow-brown after I thought, what the hell?
Yeah.
The car's so light anyway.
Exactly, yeah, you can afford to have this on.
It's also what's important to me is the way the engine looks, because most supercars nowadays, you can't see the engine.
Yeah.
You know, at best you get a carbon cover, or even at worst you get something that's supposed to be the engine, a bit of metal in the middle, trapped or something.
Yeah.
So this is on show.
Absolutely
the
stunning.
The whole back end of the car opens in two gull-wing doors, so you can see the engine, the gearbox, the rear suspension, the fan ducting,
unbelievable,
everything.
Unbelievable.
So that's why we went to a lot of effort to make it look cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, standing here like this, anyone would be proud to have something like this just in their living room to show off.
You know what? I've asked Cosworth to keep a prototype. I want one in my house. We've already had one owner who bought the car last year say, he said, will there be spare engines? And I said, oh, of course, we'll keep a couple in stock. He said, no, I want to buy a car and an engine.
I tell you, I think that is going to become the norm on the order form. I think you're going to have an extra options, an extra engine, because it is absolutely stunning, but it obviously is functional and purposeful for the car. So should we carry on talking about the aerodynamics and everything else that makes that car your absolute ultimate driving supercar? Try not to block the car because there are so many angles that look good. But we've obviously discussed the size of the car, we've discussed the central driving position, we've taken a look at the engine, and I think now, seeing as we have got the rear of the car in shot, that it is now the time to talk about the aerodynamics of the car, because in 2020 we're seeing downforce and we're seeing aero as a huge part to play in a lot of supercars, and this is different in the sense that this is the most advanced aero ever seen in any car or road car. How would you like to distinguish?
Yeah, certainly in any road car.
Any road car. I mean, take a look at this 400mm fan, is that correct?
Yep.
I mean, can you talk us through this, because it has got the nickname the fan car, because it accelerates air underneath the car.
Yeah, you've actually got it right. A lot of people look at this and they think it works like my infamous 1978 Brabham fan car, which won with Niki Lauda in Sweden, with a great big 500mm fan on the back. But actually it doesn't. It does exactly what you say. It enhances the airflow through the diffuser, which gives you the ground effect, of course.
Yeah.
So a conventional car sucks the air in the front, squeezes it under the middle of the car, the flat bit, and then expands it in the diffuser. That's what every ground effect sports car does. However, you can only use a very gradual shaped diffuser. If you try and get steep, the air separates and you lose downforce. We've got the most amazing diffusers, huge diffusers, even the drive shaft hangs out, and very, very steep, which of course the air won't follow. So with the fan off, we get a reasonable amount of downforce like any other supercar. But what we do when we switch the fan on, we have ducts in the steep part of the diffuser, and we remove all that dirty, turbulent air, and we force the air to follow that shape. So we get instantaneously more downforce at lower speeds.
Wow.
So the cool thing about that is the driver can control if he wants more downforce or less. But we've got a streamline mode that dumps downforce and reduces drag by 12.5%. It's all down to the driver. So however the driver's feeling, he's got much more control over the aero loads on the car. Whereas normally you're a slave to the car speed. Basically, the aero goes up and the aero goes down. So that's a really good thing. It involves the driver much more in the aerodynamics of the car. There are a couple of automatic functions, but most of them are driver selected.
So there are 6 aerodynamic modes, is that correct?
That's right.
6 aero modes that are controlled by the driver, and when you combine the ability to control how the car behaves at various speeds with such an incredibly revving, naturally aspirated V12, central driving position, I cannot describe how this car looks in the flesh. I know cameras don't really do it justice, and it's a shame that we aren't able to hear the engine or see this car dynamically move, which will obviously happen in the near future. But when that does, how are you going to feel about seeing this car dynamically move hear it.
I can't. I've been living with this in my head now for nearly 2 years, and I can't wait to slip into the seat. I remember the first time I drove the F1 just round the car park.
Yeah.
And the old hairs on the back of your neck. Yeah, no, it's going to be good. The interesting thing is, it's this very technical rear end. I mean, there's no room for paint. It's all technical stuff, diffusers and exhausts.
Is there room for a number plate? Oh, there is, yeah.
It's this that allows us to keep the rest of the car clean, because the current supercar crop, in my opinion, seem to have this mad race on to make the next car look more outrageous with scoops and holes and ducts. I wanted something timeless again, like the F1, that would still look good in 20 years' time, 30 years' time. And it's this that allows us to do that, because it makes the downforce work in the right place relative to where the centre of gravity of the car is.
Having the opportunity of seeing this and filming this video with yourself is something that will live on in my memory. Whether I get to drive, see this car, whatever, I'm happy to just be a part of the journey and to see it a few days before it is publicly launched. Are you nervous, excited? How are you feeling about launching this car?
Yeah, I feel great for the team, who worked so hard and so well on this, and I think people are going to get a bit of a shock. I don't know what they're expecting, but I promise you, if you thought the F1 moved the game on in '92, this is as big a step. So I think a few people are going to be in for a shock.
That is the perfect way to end this video, and I mean, I hope you guys have absolutely enjoyed the first look at this truly incredible car. And as Gordon said, this is truly going to move the game on, and I think also set the bar to a standard that will never be reached. I just don't think in the world that we live in and the way the automotive world is going, that this will ever be matched.
I think it's going to be difficult.
So thank you very much for today.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been so much fun, even 2 meters away. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed this incredible first look at such a beautiful car and an incredible engine, and make sure that you head over to all of the links in the description so that you can see more information on this, and there will be more videos online from the likes of Top Gear that have come down and shot this car as well. So head over and check those videos out as well, and I will see you very soon, and I will be following this story so closely to hear it, to see it, and do everything I can to get behind the driving I was going to say the driving side, but it's in the middle, there's no side to it. Thank you very much for watching, please subscribe, I'll see you soon, take care, goodbye.